Cardiovascular disease, otherwise known as heart disease, is a group of diseases that affects the heart and the blood vessels, and is expected to increase by 137% between 1990 and 2020 in low and middle income countries across the world, and is also the #1 cause of death in the world today. This is Ana in Ecuador. She suffers from cardiovascular disease, specifically cardiac arrhythmia. She needed a pacemaker, one of these tiny little devices, very small, and one of these small little devices, but she couldn't afford the $2,000 cost. This is the pacemaker, an artificial device for stimulating the heart muscle and regulating its contractions. It can cost up to $10,000, and in the developing world, 750 are implanted per million every year, yet in the developed world, 750 are implanted per million, a massive disparity. Yet millions of pacemakers lay waste in funeral parlors, mortuaries, and hospitals worldwide. Pace4Life is a not-for-profit organization that reuses pacemakers. We take pacemakers when people pass away, we test them for their battery life of 70% or more, we sterilize them, and then we look to implant them, firstly via our partners, the University of Michigan, and in the long term with hospitals and local charities worldwide. My name is Balsundram Lovan. I have a background in chemistry and a career in investment banking of over 10 years. Alongside me, I have a very strong team of advisors, a number of doctors across the US and the UK with over 50 years of cardiology experience, and legal advice of over 15 years across the US and UK, and a number of partners and supporters. So far, together, we've made a lot of progress. We've got 43 funeral parlours in the UK collecting pacemakers on our behalf, donated by patients and by families. And we've collected 433 pacemakers to date in a little under 3 months, with 35,000 our annual target. The FDA and NHS are supporting our efforts for export, reuse, and sterilisation, with the FDA currently vetting our sterilisation protocol. And most importantly, we've also got letters of approval for recipient countries and their ministries of health for implantations in Ghana and Pakistan. We've established our cost so far to be $300 per pacemaker for implantation, and we're looking to raise some revenue to support our efforts to make us self-funding in the long term by selling pacemakers for the reuse in animals, in cats, dogs, and horses, and also to recycle pacemakers that cannot be reused for humans or in animals at a roughly $1 rebate per pacemaker for metal recycling, because pacemakers contain platinum, titanium, gold, and silver. Ana from Ecuador actually received a pacemaker in late 2011 via my partners, the University of Michigan, and their research program. We want her to be the first of many. In July 2013, we have scheduled our first official implantation in Ghana, and it's actually sponsored by one of the 4 biggest manufacturers of pacemakers in the world, Biotronic, who've also donated, in addition to our reused pacemakers, 20 brand new pacemakers for implantation. So thank you. My name is Lovan, and this is Pace4Life.
All right, Lovan, thank you very much for that pitch, and let's now turn to our judges with your questions.
Yeah, just the first question, why? Why you?
I just thought it was a really good idea. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I went to a startup weekend in London last year in March. I actually had 2 business ideas. Having listened to a lot of the pitches, I just thought I'd go with the best idea. I did chemistry at university. It's a very hands-on degree. I like something that's practical and it's real. You can see the end goal. And Pace4Life is something like that. It kind of resonates with me.
But still, I'm sorry. It's hard to judge company accuracy because you could feel insensitive, because of course it's a very touching matter. But when I was asking why this in particular, why, I mean, I would not wake up tomorrow and know about pacemakers, right? So why pacemakers and why?
I've had a science background,
I'm
so
gonna just ask you to step to there you go.
I'd known about pacemakers. I had a chance conversation with a forensic pathologist. I knew that they were cleaning up pacemakers and sticking them back in the cupboard. I knew that recycling is kind of becoming a pressing concern in the developed world, and it's becoming an increasing cost to a lot of companies in terms of getting rid of it. I started doing some research. I found that the University of Michigan had been doing 3 years of research into it, and I thought it was a good idea. So I started kind of looking to kind of launch this the startup weekend in London.
You're doing that by yourself?
Yeah, I'm a sole founder. So I've been doing this since March last year, and recently I was in Chile as part of the Startup Chile Accelerator Program, and just returned on Monday.
Yeah, for you are Startups Chile, that program, I know it very well. So what, because of course, I'll tell you, first of all, it's very hard for me to judge. I don't know about you guys, because of course is there any technology involved in there, or is it you're really acting as the middleman, is maybe not the right word, but you're acting as the conduit between these parlors when you can find these, again, these pacemakers to actually put them in good use for people that need them in emerging countries.
So technology is the pacemaker, and then supporting our efforts is actually a database.
Oh.
Because what we're trying to do is actually make sure that we track the patient consent. We've got consent forms that we've drafted with our lawyers, and I've actually got these implanted in the process of the funeral parlours that I mentioned, the 43 in London. So we're tracking that. So the forms will come in with a pacemaker. We're tracking that right through to implantation or recycling or reuse. So that's kind of, I guess, the second part of the technology that overhangs this.
You should have mentioned it actually, because it's important for us to also realize how, because it could be a one-man thing, and I don't know how you actually track. And this is actually very important, because at some point, if this goes big, besides all the legal and medical ramifications that I don't know anything about, this is actually how you could be, I know scaling is maybe not a right word, but it is actually. At the end of the day, since you were looking for, what, 600, how much, what was the number you were?
$600 per pacemaker for resale for animals.
For resale, yeah. So you need a tracking, I didn't know that animals had pacemakers, by the way.
Yeah, there's no actual
I
animals.
learned something today.
This is the how much do you really love that cat question.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Oddly enough, people actually spend more on healthcare on animals than they probably do on themselves.
Maybe I'll let you, my two esteemed experts.
So, I mean, how scalable do you think that this is? I mean, is your ambition to start in different, countries in Europe and then in the States to gather momentum? Are you focusing only on the UK for now?
Focusing on the UK and the US for now. So my partners are focusing on the US, I'm focusing on the UK. I think it's highly scalable. I think in the long term what we want to do is really kind of push it out, so we're almost providing the pacemakers to the trusted partners. Obviously flying out doctors from the UK and the US to do surgery is not a sustainable effort, it's too cost prohibitive. What we want to do is really partner with people on the ground, the hospitals that actually have the facilities and the capability, and merely give them the option to kind of, I guess, affect more people because of the lower cost base.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because it doesn't happen every time we hear something that is very different than, social network number 20 million and ad network 27. So at least you have for sure something very original and with an objective that is way beyond money, right, I would say. Yeah. So first of all, congratulations, because I think it's a very cool thing to do. And, we need also this type of entrepreneurship. Obviously, I have a couple of questions. So the first one I have is, how much does a pacemaker cost new?
Up to $10,000. So in the UK...
No, price, cost.
I've not been able to establish that. So I know that some people have argued with me that...
Because, I was thinking, I didn't grow up in Ecuador. I grew up in a part of Southern Europe that for sure is not extremely well famous for the quality of health, right? And I was thinking, how would I feel if my mom will if somebody will implant on my mom, I use pacemaker. And then I was thinking about why. And then I was thinking, well, surely $10,000 is a lot of it. But is a pricing issue or is a costing issue?
Sorry, pardon me?
Is a pricing issue or is a costing issue?
It's a cost issue because of the fact that typically people in the low and middle income...
No, I'm trying to say, produce a pacemaker. It must cost what? A few $100s?
I think the lowest cost pacemaker you can probably find in the world, probably like from a very unrecognized, is maybe around about $1,000.
No, but you are talking
But
about
yeah, that's
you're
what-
talking
yeah,
about
but-
price.
Yeah.
So my point is, it could be just food for thoughts for you, that in order to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, maybe the key thing is to figure out if there is a way how there is less margin that could be put in that cost. Because my sense is that somebody is making shit a lot of money when many people are dying around the world.
I think
And you're trying to recycle materials to other people. It's okay. I mean, I don't think there is anything bad. But maybe there is another school of thought that says, there is something that can be done to produce and sell a pacemaker to a completely different pricing point.
I agree. I mean, I think there's lots of products out there in the market, whether it's healthcare or not, that have large margins, and iPhone's a good example.
But my mum doesn't need an iPhone, while a pacemaker is not really a choice.
But as an outsider, I can't enter the manufacturing market and start trying to kind of create what's the cost of entering a market like that to try and drive down the costs. That's the thing. So by doing this, maybe I might start to have a cause and effect on the manufacturers themselves, and they might want to start to drive those costs down to make themselves more competitive as a whole, which would then have a span of effect.
Second question is, how do you finance it?
So like I said, at the moment, it's been out of my own pocket, and obviously I got some money through Startup Chile, which awards you an equity-free investment. In the long term, I'd like to kind of leverage it by, finance it by the sales of pacemakers to animals and the recycling of pacemakers for their valuable metals, because there's a couple of organisations like Ortho Metals in Holland which recycle crematorium waste, and they're interested in recycling these on our behalf and giving us a rebate, having cover their costs. The other one idea I've got is actually...
So just to understand, summary is that you are bootstrapping it.
Yeah.
We're going to have to call it at that because we are out of time. But Lemon, thank you very much for what you're doing, and good luck with this business and with the competition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.